When it comes to action movies, Jason Statham is pretty good at being scripted almost the exact same way every single time. A regular man who has a secret combative past notices harm being done to innocent people, so he decides to step in and take care of it, taking down dozens of dudes surrounding him with bad fight scenes. Doing all of this whilst having the worst dialogue in history. In fact, even some of his non-action roles follow this a little, like The Meg. Remember that time he stopped a megalodon with his foot? So when I got comment after comment for me to review The Beekeeper, I was like, why? Because you like it? I hadn't watched the movie because I already knew it would be terrible. The track record speaks for itself. But then I watched the movie and I kind of liked it. To clarify, it wasn't cinematically good, or script writing good, or acting good. It had two parts of it that I actually enjoyed, which sort of made up for the 6 main parts of it that were terrible. So in this movie, Jason Statham is a beekeeper, which in the beginning, he's literally tending to bees in a barn. I keep bees. Some lady that's helping him out gets scammed, which leads to her ending her own life, so Statham has to track down the people who scammed her, with, little to no explanation of how he does. When he's talking with the main investigator, this character sucks, by the way. He says he has to tend to the hive.
I need to take care of the hive.
And she's like, you've been up all night. And he's like,
Hive is more important.
This is the first thing right off the bat that I cannot stand about this movie. The dialogue, the scripting, specifically Jason Statham's one-liners. It's awful. It gets so much worse than this, but almost every single sentence that comes out of Jason Statham's mouth is a quote.
I need to apologize for last night. I realize I may have been a little aggressive.
That's understandable.
Just like in most of his movies. But not only that, whenever he's talking about the world or issues he has to take care of, he says them in bee idioms.
I need to take care of the hive.
So he's easily able to find out where the people are who scammed the old lady, and he rocks up there with 2 gas cans. 2 guards stop him outside the building, and they argue a little. The guard threatens to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. There.
I did it for you.
I promise you it gets worse than this. Both guards reach for their guns and the fight begins. Jason grabs one guard's gun with his right hand, simultaneously using his left hand to push back the guard's incoming strike. He pistol whips both and the fight's over. Quick, clean, and efficient. That wasn't bad, alright? I like how he emphasized efficiency there. He gets inside to warn this lady that he's gonna burn the place down.
There's gonna be a fire.
Instead of the receptionist panicking, she's like, okay. Thanks. Well, you're welcome. Jason rocks up to the main scammer room and tells this guy to hang up the phone. He doesn't comply, and Jason pinches the inside of his nose. The septum is a good weak point on the body. It's super painful, and it definitely would stop someone from trying to do anything. I mean, you can pinch your septum right now, and you'll realize, holy crap, yeah, that's painful. There's also thin pieces of skin all over the body that you can pinch that is just super painful. Then Jason takes a phone from someone and uses it to punch them in the face. I don't know if he's actually hitting him with the phone or his knuckles here, but if you hold the phone inside the fist the way he holds these, it's kind of like brass knuckles. So brass knuckles without the bar structure that goes in your hand, you'd break your fingers on someone's face. So the phone here transfers the force through the object into your forearm, which is much stronger, therefore you're not going to break your knuckles and you're going to do a lot more damage. It turns your whole entire arm into a rigid striking weapon. A common tip people talk about whenever you're going to punch someone is you could put chapstick in your hand, which essentially gives the exact same effect. Jason says, repeat after me. I will never scam everyone ever again. And so they do it, and then he just starts pouring gasoline on top of people. Then the leader of this whole operation bursts in and says, what the flip, bruh? So this is another issue with the dialogue, specifically with this guy and Josh Hutcherson in this movie. I'm gonna call this Gen Z dialogue because the writers took young people slang and make it sound totally unnatural. What the flip, bruh? And then Jason says, I'm a beekeeper.
To protect the hive. Sometimes I use fire to smoke out hornets.
Again, a bee idiom. If you can't tell, he's actually talking about the real world here. So this is where the next fight starts. The guards come at him one at a time because it's a movie. Jason kicks a chair at one guard to distract him. Then he slams this guy on the desk and wraps a telephone cord around this guy's neck. Then he grabs an answering machine with the phone in it and punches another guy's incoming punch. That guy's knuckles are broken. So he's clearly trying to find ways to make his punches hit much harder, consistent with what he just did with the phone earlier. He redirects an incoming punch and delivers an uppercut of doom, which flips the guard over. He takes an iPad or a long keyboard and shoves it straight into this guy's throat. The guard could have put his arms up here, but he just kind of let it happen. Now I know Jason's kind of going for the kill here, but even in a life or death scenario, a throat chop with your hand is enough to put someone down without guaranteed serious damage being done. but hitting the throat with a hard object like this, that's a life-altering injury, or this dude is dead. The thorax is extremely sensitive, and you don't need much to put someone down. The security guard has a gun on Jason. He has multiple seconds to shoot, but he doesn't. And I'll move past that. It's a movie. Jason grabs the slide of the gun, pushes it right, pushing the guard's arm left. So the direction where this gun is disarmed is where grip is the weakest. So in theory, technically this would work. But here's the fatal flaw. The gun is pointing directly at Jason the entire time he disarms it. A gun trigger requires only 5 pounds of pressure. So when disarming a gun, Jason should have gotten his head and body off the line of sight before even going through with the disarm. As you grab the gun, you move one way and you push the gun the opposite way. So you're off the line of sight the moment you engage. Jason just stands there and lets the gun point at him while he grabs it. It's similar to this Equalizer clip where he disarms and flips the gun back around over himself. That's the exact moment the gun would probably go off while disarming. Once you're off the line of sight, never get back in front of it. Jason delivers a strong uppercut, then front kicks the guard far across the room, and he fakes a hit at the Gen Z dude. He says, "Bet you feel really proud of yourself." I'm not even sure what that really means. Like, what is he talking about? Jason sets a bomb up, and he says, "Anything alive in here won't be." You could say it a little bit simpler. It'll kill anyone in here. I don't know. So I want you to put into perspective the seriousness of this situation. This entire building is going to explode, and this guy has just received that information. So this is what he says.
Guys, we might want to dip out.
We might want to dip out. First of all, there's literally nobody else in this room. Everyone left 30 seconds ago, remember?
Guys, we might want to dip out.
Who are you talking to right now?
And also, being serious. Guys, we might want to dip out. Dip out, are we serious? Even this actor should be telling the director, man, are you sure you want me to say this? So Jason blew the place up. Then Josh Hutcherson comes on the screen. He's got some pretty bad dialogue too. He's trying to devise a way to kill Jason Statham.
Hey, I need to talk to you.
Or what?
What? No, nothing. I mean,
That's just a pretty funny part right there. I'm not sure what the point of doing that right there was, but I kind of liked it. It made me laugh. A little bit of naturalism in the most unnatural movie of all time. So Jason Statham goes back to his bees. He's sitting there like,
I keep bees.
and Gen Z dude is able to track him down. He gets there and he's like, I don't think this is it. And then he sees his truck and he's like, that's him. Genuinely cracked me up. They get in the barn and Jason has to pick off the squad one by one. Grabs a guy from behind and holds a screwdriver to his eye. But he doesn't kill him. He wraps him up in chains instead. Next guard has a shotgun and he chokes him with the shotgun first, shoves it in his mouth, and a tooth pops out. Grabs another guard's shotgun, takes apart the muzzle, and stabs him with it. He's pretty good with guns. He tends to disarm them and just take them apart. He doesn't even really like to use weapons, just righty and lefty. Gen Z guy is firing blindly at him, and Jason somehow just knows he's going to miss. Then he saws the Gen Z dude's hand off, for some reason doesn't kill him, and leaves. Or should I say he dips out.
Guys, we might want to dip out.
A couple minutes later, the Gen Z dude's on the phone with Josh Hutcherson. Josh is like, who is this guy? He's like, I don't know, a beekeeper. Jason punches him, takes him at the car. Bro, you want crypto? NFTs? Jason ties him up. Don't move.
I fucking can't move!
Okay, that was pretty funny. And then he drives him off a cliff. So after this, we see a scene where Josh Hutcherson and this Alfred type character are talking about Jason Statham. Alfred hears that this guy is known as a beekeeper, and it gives him an aneurysm. The movie uses this moment to try to build mythological fear around Statham's character, that a beekeeper is supposed to be extremely terrifying. This movie's trying to do what John Wick could do, and they're failing pretty badly. There's a lot of variables that goes into it, but one main one is the fact that in John Wick, they set up the exposition behind the boogeyman before we ever even see him in any action. Oh, if John Wick is at your door, all you can do is pray. He's the Baba Yaga. As opposed to this movie, we see all the crappy action before we start to learn the context behind what a beekeeper is. So there's no tension in building up what a beekeeper is. Therefore, I do not care how dangerous or scary Jason Statham is. I literally don't care, because the way they set it up is done backwards. The storytelling surrounding the action doesn't make the action better. So if you strip away the bad acting, the bad scripting, the bad one-liners, the bad overall action, the plot and setup itself, which are the foundations of the film, are terrible in this movie. So they send someone to go and kill Jason Statham, a female assassin who is the current beekeeper, whereas Jason Statham is a retired beekeeper. She comes in guns blazing. He sneaks up behind her and uses a gas hose to stop her weapon, wrap it over the gun, pull it over her head, so then now whenever he yanks, it comes out of her grip, because grip is as the weakest right there. So that move right there is pretty mechanically sound. That's a good move. She's held against the car and she says,
You've been a busy bee.
this is where I really want to just turn off the movie, forget everything, and jump off a cliff. He wraps the hose around her throat, throws her around, she pulls out her knife, and Jason grabs her wrist to disarm the knife. Here's the issue. His other hand would need to be grabbing the arm as an anchor. If you went under and took the knife out where grip is actually the weakest, that would actually make sense. So the way this is done is kind of debatable. Then he grabs her jacket to off-balance her upper body, then throw her down. This part is a good takedown, and that would really hurt on concrete. Judo is great for self-defense because on the street, if you're able to get a throw on a concrete once, your opponent is out because that really hurts. And movies tend to make takedowns like this not look like they hurt that much, but they will genuinely shut your whole body down. He does a front kick, which absolutely sends her flying. She grabs a machine gun and fires everywhere, somehow never hits Jason because of course it's a movie. He throws a honey jar and it hits her in the head. Now I guess she's down. He lights her on fire with gas everywhere. He takes a very long time to walk away, and as soon as he drives away, the explosion happens because it's a movie. Fast forward a lot of time, and Jason ends up at this building that these military guys are also trying to raid. So they are on the same side here. Jason tries to help them, and they tell him to stay back. He says a corny quote about smoking people out.
Instead of going in, I'll just squunk them out.
Again, B idioms. They talk briefly. Jason mumbles in his accent so much I have no clue what he said. Also, this is a hardcore side note, but why does Jason Statham look so stupid with a hat on? It just sits so weird on his head. Does anybody else agree? Military guy points at him. Somebody detain this guy. Spoiler alert, Jason's about to start a fight here, surrounded by a dozen military dudes. But what do you think he does right here? He grabs his wrist and twists it into a joint lock, using one hand. One hand takes a lot of strength, but the theory here is great. Obviously, I love joint locks. If he grabbed it with two hands, grabbed at his hand and wrist, and twisted it, it would 100% give Jason all the control. So there are specific moves in this movie that work really well in theory. And that makes me enjoy it a lot more because some action movies are just a bunch of stupid moves that would never work. But overall, this entire action scene, he's fighting 12 military dudes all at once. They have gear and weapons. He has nothing, and he takes them all down. So the core problem here is that the whole fight scene is dumb, but specific moves within it are good. You know, Jason punches someone's armored vest here. How much damage are you truly going to do? He elbows someone's helmet. This is protective equipment. It just takes me out of the action because this would never do anything. And when he's only fighting one guy, the people in the background are just kind of standing there. Like, look at this guy. What is he even doing? Jason then goes upstairs, has to fight against these SWAT guys. I don't even know how many there are, but they are all shooting at him. He's running. Not a single bullet connects. Need I say any more? He gets into the hallway, and he comes up against this lone officer. This is probably my favorite fight in this entire movie. This fight right here is pure efficiency and purely solid moves. Jason grabs the officer's gun, using it as leverage, and then using his foot as ways for him to trip him and throw him down. And then the officer pulls out his own pistol, has a pretty strong few seconds to pull the trigger, doesn't, whatever. And then Jason kicks the pistol out of his hands. Boom. Efficient. I like it. If you know simple judo and you know how to kick, boom. You don't need stupid flash. You don't need unrealistic crazy moves. You just need to go for vulnerabilities and things will end quickly. So we get to the final fight location and we're introduced to this main henchman guy. He's an extremely unique looking individual with equally unique speech patterns.
Fuck, bro. How'd you piss this out off, huh?
Brew. Jason Statham is spotted inside the house, just walking around, bald head, same beard. Of course he's being spotted. Multiple parties chase after him. Jason's caught outside, and this guy pulls a pistol on him, holding Jason at gunpoint. He delivers some kind of dramatic speech.
I'm putting this asshole's brains on the lawn.
This lady's like, no, wait, he's not armed.
As long as this motherfucker's breathing, he's armed.
Steps forward toward Jason Statham. Now he's within range for Jason to disarm him. At gunpoint, it's taught that if you're going to try to disarm a gun, you need to make sure you're close, because this is what happens when it's far away. You just get shot. This guy says, to be or not to be.
Isn't that the bloody question? I think I'll take to be.
I absolutely love this movie. This is the greatest line in cinema. I don't think anything tops it. This is the moment in my brain where the one-liners shift from being such a bad and terrible, no good, very bad beat in this movie to one of the greatest things to ever grace this earth. What is he even talking about? To be or not to be? What? It refers to nothing. There was no point in him saying that. It's absolutely beautiful. I have zero complaints. This is the greatest movie on planet Earth. The terrible one-liners and scripting in this movie is so bad that over time, it actually has worn me down to where I see the humor in it. Now I see the funny side. and to an extent, I actually kind of like it. Jason disarms the gun by grabbing it and pushing the arm out of it, which is, again, mechanically sound, but not the best way of going about it. The way he did that didn't use much leverage. Jason shoots him in the cheek and decides to dip out, runs into this guy who comes at him with a knife. He twirls it up and over his shoulder, completely locked up, and this is another great joint lock. You can go try this on someone and see that it actually works. Grabbing someone's wrist and twisting it over your head counterclockwise locks him up completely. Then Jason grabs the blade of the knife, which is just genius. Why didn't I think of that? If someone's planning to kill someone else with a knife, you better believe that they're gonna make sure that knife is sharp. And when a knife is sharp, it's really sharp. If you grab it like this, and the guy lets go, just like he does here, great. You'll get cut a little, but you won't get cut extremely badly. But the tiniest wiggle of your hand, and the knife's gonna absolutely obliterate the tendons in your hand, and then you're cooked. So yeah, never do this. Never grab the blade, because it can happen in a second, and you'll lose all motor control in your hand. Jason gets inside and gets a gun from an officer. Another officer shoots at him, firing right above his head. At least have some creativity, instead of just every gun that gets shot at Jason missing. Jason punches this officer's throat twice, which actually makes sense. So far, when it comes to these people who have all this armor, Jason's still just hitting them in the armor, which is somehow doing a lot of damage. But the one place they don't have armor blocking is the throat. There's just fabric there. So hitting the throat is smart here. Not only that, do you notice anything interesting here? He twisted the gun so he would hold the handle while punching. Exact same mechanic with the phone before. Here's another great sequence. Jason grabs an officer's wrist, goes under it, swinging it over him, and locks it up. This is a great joint lock. It's a very easy one to do too. You just grab the hand and the wrist so the joint cannot move. Once you have that, you're in control. And slow is smooth, smooth is fast. We know this. So when you twist it up and over your head, you're bending the joint the wrong way, and now you have this entire guy's body in control because you have their joints locked up. This is a great move. Again, this movie has good specific moves, but bad action overall. This guy right here could shoot Jason, but he trips over absolutely nothing, and as we know, when you trip over something, pulling the trigger of a gun is impossible. This guy tries to slash at Jason, which is a very sloppy attempt. I don't know why he swings the knife like this, but Jason then slams down on the attacker's arm. We don't clearly see if he's disarming the knife specifically, or if the grip just opens and he drops the knife, but I think where this makes sense is where he hits the arm so hard, their grip opens because of the brachial plexus nerve bundle. A blow to the brachial plexus along the arm, the nerves get shocked, the grip weakens, and your hand opens up. This is consistent with real nerve strike theory in martial arts. Then Jason throws him over the railing. Now we're at the final fight versus the Brew guy. The setup of this fight, this guy has brass knuckles and Jason has two fists, righty and lefty. This guy pulls out a knife and opens with a downward slash. Again, they come at him with a knife in such a weird way. It just doesn't look real. Jason catches the wrist with his palm, which is so hard. In real martial arts, nobody teaches you to catch a wrist with your hand. The precision and the strength required to go against someone with downward momentum is unnecessary and unrealistic. A better option would be blocking at the wrist with your forearm, redirecting the momentum, and getting off the line of the knife's trajectory. Not just using brute strength against someone gaining energy and momentum coming down at you with a knife and trying to catch it with perfect precision from your hands. Additional issue is that Jason caught the arm and not the wrist. So grabbing it right here, the attacker can still wiggle the wrist around and cut at Jason's hand and arm, just like in Nobody. They lock up in a strength versus strength battle multiple times. Jason gets sliced. He's like, ow! He swings the knife around, locking up this guy's arm, same mechanics as before, then rolls this guy forward into a takedown. This guy swings the knife again, and Jason blocks again just with his hand. Let me offer two alternatives that are better. Take the left arm and use the forearm down to redirect it, or take the right arm in a Rama windmill motion, moving his body to the left to get out of the way while swinging the arm down to redirect, opening up the attacker's backside for flanking and quartering. It's so much easier comparatively to what he's doing, but as a caveat, we're still talking about knife fights. So none of this stuff is easy. Escape is always the #1 priority when it comes to any weapons, but especially knives. Then he gets stabbed, and he's like, oi, that's a bit painful, ain't it? No bother. Then he pulls the knife out of himself, and they go back to strength versus strength. Then Jason looks down, and you can see a literal light bulb form over his head, where he kicks out this guy's fake leg, and that's what takes him down. Cheap shot. He disarms the brass knuckles, says thanks.
Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. Then Jason swings around and left hooks with the brass knuckles. Lethal combo there. Stab. Then this guy grabs Jason's shirt, and before Jason stabs again, he slices the arm that's grabbing his shirt. Why? What does slicing the arm do there? Slicing at the forearm, the bicep, the inside of the elbow, the armpit, any part of the arm will disable someone's grip because you're obliterating the tendons there. This is a big thing that happens in Man from Nowhere Final Fight. Slicing the limbs disables the grip. Then, for absolutely no reason, this guy's already pretty much dead, and Jason delivers one final brass knuckle uppercut. Then we get to the final sequence. Jason's gonna blow open this door, where the Alfred-type character tries to talk him down. You don't have to do this. Jason tells him to step back, where he steps in front of him instead, and Jason grabs two of his fingers, twists the wrists upward, and bends them back. Now, there's a sound effect that implies that the fingers break, but even if it's just a joint lock, it would do the exact same thing. That's a great and easy joint lock to do. Then Jason says, "Now have a seat." And then he actually sits down. What the heck? Then Jason enters the room. There's multiple dramatic zoom-ins, like Indian reality TV. And then a couple things happen and the movie ends. I won't spoil the ending because I know you're on the tip of your toes. Though I will give you some satisfaction. Jason Statham does a nod at the end before the officer lets him go and he escapes. It's beautiful. So yeah, this movie's terrible, but there's very specific and practical moves that Jason Statham does that have anatomically grounded technique to them. And to an extent, his one-liners are actually pretty funny.
I think I'll take to be.
Therefore, I actually kind of liked it. My biggest issue, though, is that you can't expect me to believe that Jason Statham stopped the Megalodon with his foot. If you have any suggestions for any movies you want me to review, there's a Google form in the description. I read it every single day. Anyway, terrible movie, terrible fight scenes, pretty good singular moves. New video soon. Peace.